music?
Because music is where you learn about culture first. Like, it's not on in the movies, it's not in the news. The first place you learn what the problems are or what the new thing is on records. So for me, it just keeps me young and it keeps culture moving forward. And I've always been interested in how culture moves.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's really my motivation. And I like teaching too. And you can teach a lot in the music business because music on the radio is like a big brother. Tells you right, wrong, or tells you a lot of wrong right now.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, from the first of all, just meeting Heavy D, and just really kind of chasing him to get to you, and him becoming one of my best friends. Like, my whole life changed, you know, from when I saw that first video of you at Uptown. You know, Uptown's kicking it. And my whole life changed because I got to see somebody that looked like me and was from the same neighborhoods, was extremely young, and that was actually doing it from behind the camera, because everybody's not a rapper, everybody's not a basketball player, you know, and there's people that's needed behind these different industries. And so I pursued Heavy to get to you, and so if it wasn't for Hev, you know, being on the label, me seeing that video, and then me chasing down Hev to get to you, I wouldn't have got a chance to on that first day, to be able to go and get you that tape. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, even sitting here right now, you know what I'm saying, it's surreal that I'm being interviewed by like my mentor, you know what I'm saying? We only get a chance to like have like one mentor, one person that puts us on. So this is like a dream come true, to do an interview that you're asking me questions and you get to say that I've done all these things, because I did a lot of these things to like make you feel proud, you know what I'm saying? Because you were the first one like to give me a chance, and to be, you know, sitting here and to have like made some of myself, and most importantly, to have made you proud, you know, is a feeling that I can't explain. I wanted to lead by example. I wanted to like show people that, you know, that you and Russell Simmons and Berry Gordy was giving birth to a whole new generation of cats that were going to appreciate the doors that you guys opened. So I took it very seriously, you know, as far as whether it was getting that tape or whether it was any job or task that you gave me in the beginning part when I was an intern. And me being an intern, that kind of helped to shape and mold me.
Record, and then we had to give it to someone. So we gave it to Johnny Kemp. The same thing with My Prerogative was supposed to be on the Guy album, but it was the last record. Actually, the last record was You Can Call Me Crazy. Now we have a secret to tell. You Can Call Me Crazy was a record sung by I'll Be Sure. And I'll Be Sure did the record, we finished it with him, and then we needed one more record. And when you guys had that altercation, you know, the argument, and I was like, wait a minute. Gene was like, we need another record, and we taking You Can Call Me Crazy. At the same time, Timmy Gatlin sung the first verse, and then Gene called Timmy Gatlin out of the studio, and next thing you know, Timmy Gatlin walked back in and said, I quit. I quit the group, and we didn't have a singer. So we wound up keeping I'll Be Sure's vocal on the Guy album. So you might as well say I'll Be Sure is a part of Guy. And 15 years later, you know, I always want the truth to be told. The other thing was when that altercation came out in the Rooftop, I wound up staying with Andre in Brooklyn at the office.
I had a 2-floor condo in Brooklyn.
I wound up staying there.
Hang on to it?
No.
Staying there was like school to me. You know, I learned everything I needed to know as far as the record business and, you know, the lifestyle of Uptown, because they were the only ones doing it that way, you know, really turning things around. If we had a record, we didn't wait, you know. You and Diddy was like the fastest to put out any record.
Bring it to the club. That was hot.
Let me back it up a minute, just to make sure that everybody fully understands, because I think, I don't know, how many New Yorkers here in the audience? Okay, how many the rest of you non-New Yorkers? How many Texans? Okay, so yeah, I think this is a good moment to just take a second and say, how did Uptown Records begin? Uptown, of course, being the New York local lingo for Harlem, where the sound came from. You know, what was your inspiration coming out of Rush and Def Jam in that world and creating Uptown?
I was a hip hop artist who used to not just wear sneakers and jeans. I'd be dressed up sometimes because I'm from the park, so I've been rocking since I was 15 years old, shootouts and all, like I was telling y'all. So sometimes I would have gigs after work. So I was a sales accountant for WWINS Talk Radio. So I'd be dressed, suit and tied up. And I lived in Queens. I didn't want to go home and then have to come back to Roseland to perform. So I would just stay in my suit and go up and start rocking. And they knew I was real, so I could do that. And so after a while, that became my image. Now, how I started Uptown Records is from being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I was from the Bronx, and Mr. Hyde was from Harlem. And I would spend most of the time rocking in Harlem and picking up the whole Harlem style. The haircuts, the jewelry, the mock necks, the AJ Lesters, the Quarterfields, the whole style thing. And I would sit there at King Towers basketball tournament, and this was like a baby pro rucker. My DJ, Ronnie Green, he used to run it. So I would sit there, and the hustlers would come out with these teams. And I would look at how they were dressed. And I always said, imagine if young people could do this legally, have this kind of swag and attitude, like having a convertible Benz is nothing. Having on this $10,000 watch is nothing. And I said, if I ever start a record company, I'm gonna make my artists be like that.
And I think, I think Puffy obviously was a great example of that. And I think, and Teddy, obviously, you kind of personified the New Jack Swing image. Tell me a little bit about what that term meant to you when you first heard it, when you first started using it, applying it to yourself.
Well, then, Barry Michael Cooper was like a media coach to me. He was kind of teaching me how to do interviews. So that's how we met, by him actually doing an interview with me, but at the same time, just kind of showing me the things I need to say and, you know, when I need to not say much. And
Barry Michael Cooper is the guy who wrote New Jack City.
New Jack City, yes. And he actually gave me that name around the same time they were doing New Jack City writing. And when he gave me that name, I ran with it. You know, I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think it was gonna be this big. And I just ran with it and just continued doing music. And I still didn't have like a real sound. It was just coming into its form. And that's how we developed New Jack Swing, along with Andre just giving me all of the artists to work with to test my sound. And everything came out successful. We had #1 records,
out the blue,
platinums, and that was just me being a hungry kid from Harlem.
Now Teddy used to make these records in his mother's living room in the projects. I would go to his house, hang out. I would watch him make the bass line first, and it'd be him or me, like from Today. And then he put the drums. And then he would watch to see, 4 or 5 people be there. He'd be watching how your head's moving. If your head is moving like this, he's adding more flavor to it. And like in 20 minutes, he'll have My Prerogative playing. The basic skeleton of My Prerogative playing. Like when I say somebody's gifted, to this day, I've never seen anybody as gifted musically as Teddy Riley.
Oh, thank you.